지금 사랑의 벽이 있는 곳으로 지금 걸어가고 있습니다. 숙소에서 그렇게 멀지는 않는데 지금 여기 숙소에서 이제 올라가는 길 거리에 똑같은 게 있는데 여기서 올라가고 있습니다. 사람들한테 물어봤는데 반대편에 지금 가면 있다고 합니다. 코너, around the corner 있다고 했으니까. Let me see. 여기는 사랑의 벽이 있는 곳인데 주위에는 이렇게 돼 있는데 저기 놀이터 같은 곳이 있는데 저기는 사람들 많이 없고 그렇습니다. 지금 구르워크라고 그 가이드 투어를 예약을 했는데 몽마르뜨 언덕, 근데 제가 조금 늦어가지고 지금 그룹을 캐치업 해야 될 것 같은데 그 무슨 Basilique 있는 거기 계단에서 만날 수 있다고 하네요. 그래서 일단은 지금 최대한 빨리 가고 있는데 어떻게 될지 모르겠습니다. 찾았습니다. Did I miss a lot?
And there's a big reason why. I will show you a painting of Van Gogh of Montmartre in the 19th century. Montmartre into the 19th century. As you can see here, there's not much. This is countryside, that's why I do these history jumps, because the interesting things happen after. At the 19th century, towards the middle, there was Napoleon III, which was the one in control of France. Napoleon III went to the war against Prussia. Speaking of Prussia, they went on a war against France, and France wasn't absolutely prepared for that war and lost the war miserably, and lots of people died in the war. It was horrible, but it was a humiliation for the French, but mainly a humiliation for the non-Parisians. Well, so the Parisians, they weren't humiliated by the war. How come? Because there was bigger problems here in Paris. In Paris, there was some waves of hunger. There was no more food in Paris, so the Parisians needed to change their eating habits and instead to eat a one-man animal to survive. Can you guess which animal they ate to survive? Guess animals.
That's
rats. They ate rats to survive. Which, think about it, you need to catch the rat, kill the rat, cook the rat, and eat the rat. It's horrible. But don't worry too much, because the scientists of the time said that rat meat was one of the finest food you could ever eat. That's what the scientists said. I don't know. I never ate a rat. I don't know any restaurant that serves rat, so I cannot give you any food recommendations. I'm sorry. I only more. It's the rats. We don't have hunger and we don't have rats anymore. 2 birds in 1 stone. Perfect. But the Parisians ate all the rats of Paris. There was not a single rat left in Paris. So we go back to the initial problem, the hunger problem. So people asked help of the government. And the government did one new thing. They created more restaurants. More restaurants. And not because we have more restaurants and we have more food. Life doesn't work like that. So they didn't have the Parisians at all. And because the government didn't want it to help, so people in Montmartre said to helping themselves. And they formed a group called the Commune of Paris. The Commune of Paris is mainly socialist, feminist, anti-religion. It's anti-religion, but they didn't like religious, no. They want a separation between the Catholic religion and the government. That's what they wanted. And they sent a letter to the government saying, hey, well, you have the money, we have ideas. We can work together and help everyone so no one dies of hunger. But at the end of the letter said, yes, if you don't want to work with us, we're going to attack you. And the government, when they wrote the letter, weren't happy about the letter, so they sent a letter back to the cabinet saying, hey, oopsie, our bad, we forgot 227 cannons in the streets of Montmartre, and we need those weapons back to attack you.
말로는 성당에서 지금 종이 치는 게 보이는데 그 이유가 이제 일요일 날에 이제 신을 위해서 지금 종을 친다고 합니다. 그래서 좀 저희가 럭키 그룹이라고 그렇게 하네요. 와, 오 마이 갓, 와우, 오 마이 갓, awesome. Wow. That tower there, the tower of Montmartre, that we the Parisians, we hate. It's horrible. It's a big tower there in the middle of Paris. Why? You have beautiful architecture. You are getting a modern architecture, modern building in the middle of Paris. So it was a project of modernization of Paris at the end of the 60s. It stayed in the 60s, and it's a 60-floor building. 60 floors, too much. And there's 4 things inside. You have companies, you have companies, private schools, there's a restaurant. If you go all the way up, you will have a beautiful view of Paris, which in my opinion is one of the most beautiful views of Paris. It's the only place where you don't see the top of 2 golden statues. Okay, that is the Opéra Garnier, one of the operas of Paris. Oh,
Opéra
yeah.
Garnier right now, it's under construction from the outside, so you can still enter inside. It's really beautiful. And just next to the Opéra Garnier, we have the Galerie Lafayette. Do you know the Galerie Lafayette? It's a shopping mall of luxurious brands like Dior, Chanel, Louis Vuitton.
Oh,
and
yeah,
more.
yeah.
If you don't have money to shop over there, no worries, me neither. You go all the way up and you will have the beautiful view of Paris, which in my opinion is one of the most beautiful views that is free. So go over there. Which Galerie Lafayette? We have many Galeries Lafayette in Paris. The Galerie Lafayette Haussmann in the boulevard Haussmann. So Haussmann. If you go to Champs-Élysées, there's no rooftop, so you're losing a bit the essence while you're going to Champs-Élysées. Usually it's a bit expensive shopping over there. And in Paris there's another place where you have a beautiful view of Paris, which is at the very middle of Paris. You can see there's a dome. Do you see the dome at the middle? On the middle there will be a dome. Yeah, okay, that's the Pantheon. The Pantheon wasn't supposed to be a Pantheon, it was supposed to be a church, but Napoleon I didn't like that idea, and he decided to transform it into a Pantheon because he crowned himself Emperor of France and King of Rome. I mean, why not?
The Paris Olympics.
The Paris Olympics, yes, it was supposed to be finished before the Olympics. But,
August?
Last year on October, the president and Notre Dame and said, guys, remember it's 2024? I didn't mention which month of 2024. This will be finished by December. So not by the Olympics, so after the Olympics, and it will be opening on December 8th of 2024. Who is going to enter Notre Dame on December 8th? Enter will be the French president, as well the French prime minister, which we don't know who it is for now because we have elections at the end of the month. It will be the mayoress of Paris, and Delon, as well as the Pope. The Pope is invited.
Pope.
He didn't answer the invitation, but he is invited definitely. And me! No.
You?
The mortals will enter in 2025, and the monarchy will enter in 2024, of course. But what? Modern art, you have to go to Pompidou. If you don't like modern arts, it's okay, it's modern art. You can go all the way up the Museum of Pompidou. It looks like you have to pay to enter. No, it's free. You enter freely, you go all the way up, and you will have a beautiful view of Paris for free. But they don't clean the windows. The pictures maybe not the best. But they have a small terrace that opens sometimes, and from the terrace you will have the beautiful view of Paris with no dirt on the windows. So I recommend to go over there. There's a movie theater inside, many different coffee shops inside. So I recommend to go to Pompidou. It's nice just to see inside as well. It's nice. And everyone asks me the same thing. What is that huge tower over there with a cube on top with the light that goes on and up? What is happening? No, the tower. Here the Parisians, we don't like towers. I'm sorry guys. And that tower is called the Duo Towers. It looks like two towers, but actually one tower. And it was built 4 years ago. Almost 4 years ago. That's why people are really famous. It's just Bex. Capital. If we compare Paris with Berlin, mind you, Berlin is smaller than London. Inside of Berlin, we can fit 9 times Paris. 9 times Paris into Berlin. In Berlin, we live 3.5 million people, roughly. In Paris, we're 2 million. So we're many people in a really, really small space. That's why everything is pretty expensive over here. We are 12 million people in the whole region of Paris, which is called Ile-de-France. We're 4 million of people using the Parisian subway every day. And how many millions are we expecting for the Olympics? 15 million. More than the actual population of the region. Where are we going to fit all those people? We don't know. So that's another issue that we have for the Olympics. All of the locks. Why do we put locks? Where do we used to put locks before? We put locks to lock the love between two people so they love each other forever. How romantic! People used to put those locks on a bridge called Pont des Arts, the Britain Arts, and the bridge was so heavy because all of the locks that one part of the bridge coming to the water to 14 and to 15, it's illegal to put locks over there. So what do the tourists when they're really, really in love when they come to Paris? They run out to Montmartre and they put all the locks over here, so now we have the same problem over here. I don't recommend to put a lock here specifically. Why? Because the government cuts the locks every 2-3 months. Yeah, so if you put your lock over here, the government will eventually cut the lock. They cut the lock stops, you have to break up to the floor, so sick in the kids, so sick in the apartments. And a divorce is slightly more expensive than a lock. Be careful when you see love that. Be a bit careful. I recommend to put it like 2 streets going down Montmartre, so it will last for a year or 2, but not much more. Sorry. Here is not the city of love, it's the city of love. Plural, because there's many of them. I'm sorry. And now the most important thing will be the Basilique. Why is it now the history is hard? People then because of war, people then because of hunger, people then because of government. All of that, there was a reason why all those things were happening here. It's because the Parisians, they weren't Christian enough. That was the obvious explanations. So they needed a place close to God where they could clean all the sins. Close to God, the highest point of Paris. It's Montmartre, 125 meters of altitude. Which is nothing for Paris, it's a lot. And a place to clean sins is not a better place than a basilica. That's why they put it here. First, they did a contest to become an architect. There's a man called Paul, he won the contest. He was really famous in France. He helped the rebuilding of Notre Dame into the 19th century. So it's not any architect, really respected man. And Paul didn't have the money to build a basilica. So he needed money. And he said to the French, don't worry, I will use tax money. The French said, our tax money, we're putting you head off. He said, no guys, it was a joke, I will not use tax money. No. They had to find another solution. And what he decided to do, he sent a letter to one of his friends called Alexandre le Gentil, or Alexander the Good One. That's it. And he said, Alexander, what should I do to have money for this project? Alexander answered, really easy. Why don't you sell the stones to the French? What does it mean selling your stone to the French? Like at each stone, you put a price on the stone, years. Who wants to buy it? People went crazy. I want to buy it. I want to buy it. I want to buy the highest stone of the Basilica. I want to buy gargoyle. I want to buy Sacré-Cœur, this and that. People went crazy, and in 1 year, had all the money they needed to build the Basilica. 1 little year. That's what we did. How come? It was a trick. There was a trick. You could buy up the initial price of the stone. You could double the price, triple the price, and give way more money. What happens when you give more money? You have more privilege. Can you have more privilege of the stone? How does it work? People could write their names onto the stone. Everyone could put their names and the significant all of the power and the children. People were giving lots of money to put all the names inside of the stone. If you look around, there's not a single name because all the names are inside of the Basilica. The richest have that privilege. That is why. And so they had all the money. Now they have to build. This is the toughest part because they're realizing when a heel made of clay. You cannot top, you cannot build onto the clay. You need to do some foundations first. So they made 83 water wells of 30 meters of depth. Instead of putting water in the well, they put cement. And those were the foundation of this place. It took 30 years. Just for the foundation, 30. And this did about 15 years for the Basilica. So almost 25 years in total. It took for building this place, which for the at times for the end of the 19th century, it was very quick usually to do this type of stuff. And they started this probably in 1876. They finished in 1919. So 25 years. Here we have nothing. There's no Basilica, there's no stairs, there's no the funicular, there's nothing. You can even see the woman asking for money for the French Association of the time. You see how women were dressed back then, which is having a part now. It's interesting to see the difference. And 1919, finally they finished this place. And we have this architecture behind me, which is an eclectic style of architecture. Eclectic styles of eras in Western place. And we'll start with the first statue over there. That statue is the statue of St. Louis. St. Louis, he is the only king of France that has canonized that became a saint. Why him and not another king? Because he bought one item. He bought, allegedly, the one and only, allegedly, crown of thorns of Jesus Christ. Is it the crown of thorns or a crown of thorns? D1 or A1? It's D1, we're in France. Go to Spain, they have D1, go to Italy, they all have D1. Paroles, that's not him, and behind the Basilica, he has an Italian bell tower. All together, pretty nice. And this stone is not any stone. It's a type of limestone. Limestone has a property when it rains and the rain goes off the stone, there's a chemical happening and the stone cleans itself. When they found out about this stone, they were crazy. Like, we need this stone over here. It's the highest point of Paris. Of course it's going to rain and each side of the Basilica will be clean. Nice idea. Look inside. It's going to rain inside of the building. That's why inside is really dirty and outside is clean. And even so, in function of the wind, some parts of the Basilica are cleaner than others. So the idea was great, but it has some limits, unfortunately. This is not part of the list of the things we're going to clean or restore for the Olympics. Italian bell tower.
Wow.
The Basilica, we cannot even see the bell tower, but from here we can see it's pretty huge. And the most important thing about this bell tower is the bell. Weighs 19 tons. It's one of the heaviest bells that can be used on Earth. Is it the heaviest? Of course not. The Russians have one that weighs more. Kennedy number one and everything, unfortunately. And this bell weighs quite a lot. Also, if we compare with Big Ben, for example, Big Ben is 13 tons. Here we have a bit under 19 tons. Pretty heavy. And it was a gift from the Church of Annecy to the Basilica of Paris. And how on earth do you bring a 19-ton bell from Annecy to Paris, 600 kilometers away? They put the bell tower on top of the bell on top of trees. They're pushing the bell and putting new trees in front of the bell. That's how they slide the bell from Annecy to Paris. It took a year to bring the bell. A year. And once we have the bell here, you have to put it there, which is another problem. So what they did, they built one Italian bell tower, and with some ropes, they elevated 19-ton bell, fixed the bell into the tower, and finishing building the tower. Allegedly, in the articles that are written by the religious people of the Basilica, no one passed away in the process. Can we trust that source of information? Of course not. But not a single historian talks about that, George. In France, we don't believe in St. George. Maybe the other one. He's not any angel because he's an archangel. Exactly, St. Michael. So it's St. Michael killing the dragon here. If you go to the Latin Quarter in the Place of Saint-Michel, you can see St. Michael killing the devil over there. Same thing, basically. That's why you can see the main dome. You can go to the main dome, you can see some heads that pop up because you can go there. The entrance to the Basilica is free, but to go to the dome, I believe it's like around €6.50, around that price. You go all the way up, you will have a 360-degree view of Paris. You can see up to more than 30 kilometers. On a sunny day, today it's fine, a sunny day, it's really beautiful. Small little detail, you only have 300 steps. So if you're tired enough, go there. Do not invite me, please. Don't. I've been there once, and it's enough. It's like the Eiffel Tower, I went twice, and it's too much already. So yes, the Parisians, most of the Parisians never went to the Eiffel Tower actually. We don't do touristic things, that's why. And we can hear usually the rest of the week, the rest of the time, the bells, but not the one of the Basilica. We have this church that has a bell that's way lighter, and you can hear it every 30 minutes. So we still hear bells in Montmartre, not the one of the Basilica. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go that way. We're going to see the street that is really French. The first thing we'll see, it's an Irish pub. Wherever you go, you will see an Irish pub. You can go to the moon, there will be an Irish pub next to the American flag. I don't make the rules, it's like this. As well, you can eat paninis, which is Italian. You can drink bubble teas, which is Taiwanese. And you can hear some reggaeton and bachata, Latino music. So it's all from Paris. All local things, basically. But well, we'll go over there and we'll go around to see that church. Let's go.
Let's go. 그렇구먼 슈.
Ja, verdammt. Kurz die andere Seite. Отстань.
You were. I didn't see you.
Saint-Pierre, so Saint Peter. This church is one of the oldest church of Paris, top 3 or 4, oldest church of Paris. And before being this church of Saint Peter, it was the Roman temple dedicated to Mars. Here was a Roman temple. There are no Roman temples in Paris. They were all used for the Catholic Church on top, but a single one left in Paris. If you go to the south of France, southeast of France, you can see some of the Roman temples left, but not in Paris. And this is old. It's under 800 years old. And there's one main event that impacted this church. It was in 1871, the year of the Commune, before the Bloody Week. There's a woman called Paris, which is a really masculine name, entered the church, and as she entered the church, she took a weapon. She told the Christian inside, you need to go away. No, it's my church. All the Christians, so lots of women entering the church with weapons, so all the Christians inside were really, really scared. They all went outside and bundling declared, this church, her church. And she transformed the church into a school for women. She gave an education to women. She was looking for jobs for women, and she was emancipation. Emancipation in 1871, we're talking about really a modern way of thinking, but back then, and she did not only have French women, she had Spanish women, Italian women, German women, English women, and all those women went back to their home countries and they created their own school for women. There was a European impact, which is wonderful. What happened after the Bloody Week? The French army come up here, the army from Versailles, they kill everyone, and they destroy the church, and it's a woman. What else? Women doing here? This is a church. They say, okay, because you're a woman, we're going to give you options. Option number 1, you go outside, do not say it. Option 2, you stay inside and we kill all of you. They didn't want you to die, so they just ran away. And there was a school for women, 240 of them. So it's not really, well, it's early, so they don't wake up early, so we'll see around 40 of them. And there's 3 types of artists here. Those who paint you guys do portraits of you, of tourists. Others have painted to places of Paris, like Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, Montmartre, and more. And others have painted things that have nothing to do with all of that. For example, they paint, well, a flower, a landscape, a woman. They paint a bit of everything. There's a bit of every type of price as well. Because the cheapest painting I saw was 8 euros. It was like this.
8.
It's 8 euros, don't ask too much, it's just 8. But the most expensive painting I saw was 3,000 euros. It was way bigger, I don't have enough arms to show you, it's really, really big. As I mentioned at the beginning of the tour, you can kind of go shopping to the tour. If you want to give me a 3,000 euros painting, I can make an exception, you're really nice, thank you. So we're going to do so with the left side of the plaza, we'll go all around and then I will give you a bit more information about the It's so fun.
Would you like to go to the place?
Vous voulez que je pousse un petit peu?
Say that. I really like the fun. Yeah.
와.
요건 얼마예요? 요거
Ah oui, on va pas se plaindre. Merci, pareil.
Oh, there's a Trump.
So we are
Starbucks.
here, we saw the plaza of the painters, and I mentioned there's a limit of 125 painters. Why that number so specific? Because that is just not anyone that comes here and paints in the plaza. You need a permit to paint the plaza. And the government delivers only 125 permits to artists to paint over here, and all have a number from 0 to 124 to 125 in total. You can see here we have the number 120. So they all have 1 meter by 1 meter 20 to paint. So it's enough space to sit down and paint, basically. And there's specific areas. So for example, here it's more the caricatures. On the left side of the plaza, it's more the paintings. On the right, it will be mainly for the portraits. So it's all organized. And every year you have to apply again for the contest to acquire that permit. So it's not just anyone. And it's the District 18 of Paris that creates the contest. And every year you have to do this. Usually during winter, which does less artists, because of course we want to paint when it's -3 degrees Celsius, it's too cold. But they don't come here. Well, there's few of them, so don't use this number system anymore. But during the summer, because there's a lot of artists coming up here, they have to stick to the number things to paint over here, basically. So we saw where the artists were working. Now we're going to see where they were having fun. Not in summer, exactly. See this multiple restaurants. Why the restaurants were quite important in Montmartre. They're so important, but back then even more, because each restaurant was a meeting point for artists. There was restaurants was mainly for the painters, other restaurants were mainly for the musicians, for the authors, and more. And this green restaurant, it was mainly for the painters. Who came up here? Well, a couple of names like Monet, Renoir, Toulouse-Lautrec, Van Gogh, and more. Well, Van Gogh didn't so long here. He was so crazy that the owner kicked him out. And he went to that restaurant and he got kicked out, and eventually he moved out from Montmartre. He wasn't welcome here, unfortunately. And why the artists came up here? Because the food was cheaper? No. Because the wine was better? No. Because this place was a cabaret. That's why they come up here, to look at at the woman and mainly what they had under the dress. That's why they were here, the artists. And here they were coming out here to have a wonderful time. You can see it's written: aimer, manger, boire et chanter. Enjoy, eat, drink, sing, and enjoy, eat, drink, and sing. Sorry. So they were quite enjoying the time over here. If they weren't painting, they were drinking. If they weren't drinking, they were looking at the woman. Or sometimes, eventually, they were taking a rest. So we're gonna go down and see the house of 3 artists. 2 really famous, the third one not that famous. Not everyone was famous here, and it's all right. We're gonna see the pink house in Montmartre. I just heard a bus that will come. We'll be careful because it's gonna go like really near us. If you want, we're gonna see how they come. The bus is here. It's quite impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
No accident. Oh my god, it's almost tilted. Oh shit.
Yeah. Sorry? Basically, so there's no room for error. Here we have the names of the wine. And for the opening ceremony of the Olympics, we don't know who's gonna sing for the Olympics, but we know it's gonna be a song of Edith Piaf, that's for sure. There's rumors that say there will be Aya Nakamura. Other sources say that she will not do it. We don't know. We'll have to wait.
Iban a ver questa è una di
Pink.
The pink house, La Maison Rose. I will show you a picture of the same little house in 1906 and we're going to compare. Same thing, basically, same thing. So, in 1906, the Spanish painted about this house and you live inside. That artist was called Pichot. Does anyone of you know Pichot? I'm half Spanish and I do the same tour in Spanish and no one knows about Pichot. So, too bad, not everyone was famous here, it's alright. And Pichot lived here with his 2 best friends. And the best friends, they were called something like Dalida and Picasso, rings a bell? Yeah. So Dalida and Picasso were living here with Pichot, and the 3 of them, they were having a blast. They were drinking, singing, having a fun time over here. And after a couple of years, they ran out of money. So they needed a solution to have money, and they decided to sell the house to a woman of trust, one of the lovers of Picasso. God knows how many lovers Picasso had. The list was quite long, and one of them was called Laura Garayo, which was Spanish. So Laura, she bought this house and she took from this into that. It was a bit of work. How did she do that? First, she painted the house pink, and then she transformed the house into a restaurant. Why did she paint this place pink? Because she was really feminine? No. Because she was a feminist? No. Because she was poor. Poor? I don't see the correlation between pink and poor. So, back then, we're talking at the beginning of the 20th century, pink, it's feminine. And feminine, it's bad. Ugh, we don't like big things. We don't like women-like things. It's a different way of thinking, of course. It's a different century. And the pink paint was the cheapest paint you could buy in a market. And that's why the love of Picasso, she wasn't rich, so she decided to buy the cheapest color paint. And it was pink. That's why she painted the house pink. She painted everything in pink. She opened her restaurant, and lots of artists came here to drink, to sing, to eat. Too bad no one was paying the bill. No one was paying, so she wasn't making any money. And because she wasn't making money, well, she had to survive her as well, so she had to find a solution, and the solution was to put the pink house on sale. and she tried to sell a pink house.
Wow.
But no one wants to buy her pink house. Why? Because they call it pink, we don't like pink. Ugh. And that's why no one wants to buy her pink house. But an artist came up here called Maurice Le Trio. He painted the pink house and went away with his painting satisfied. And still his painting wasn't working. So the love of Picasso, she decided with a few coins she had in her purse to buy white paint, and she painted everything in white, opened the white restaurant, and no one came. So she put the white restaurant on sale. And no one wanted to buy the white restaurant. Why?
Wow.
Because it's white? No. She was pink before? No. She was a woman? No. Because it was in Montmartre, full of prostitutes, criminals, and artists that don't pay. Why on earth are they going to open a business here that's going to fail, basically? That's why no one wants to buy her white house or white restaurant. But the painting of a trio became really famous, the painting of a pink house, and lots of tourists just like you came up here to see the pink house, and it's a white house. They were quite confused, and they were asking to the love of Picasso, where's the pink house? Where's the pink house? Where's the pink house? She said, enough, okay, I get it. She wants to buy pink paint. She painted everything back in pink again. She opened, and no one came. Until the end. So she tried to sell it. One last time, she put it on sale, and she sold it. Yes, she did it. She sold it to an Italian woman called Beatrice Milano. And Beatrice Milano, she did one little thing that changed history. She changed the cook, and it worked. All of this time before it was
Change the
food? Yes and no. So before the owner was Spanish, it was a Spanish restaurant. Spanish was really great, but it wasn't adapted to French taste. And now with the Italian lady, it turned into a French restaurant, exactly, French restaurant. So the French come up here to eat, the artists come up here to eat, and the tourists come up here to eat. But the tourists were doing something that the artists weren't. Paying. So Beatrice Milano, she said, well, this is really easy. I say hi to tourists that pay, and those that don't pay, and just like that, I will have more money. And it worked just like that, by changing the cook. Nowadays, Beatrice Milano passed away, and the new owner is the granddaughter of Beatrice Milano. Still in the family, the woman's side, which is really nice. And before going down and taking a picture, you can see down the street, you have an orange restaurant. You see the orange restaurant? It's called Au Lapin Agile. It was one of the first and the most famous cabaret of Montmartre. And they're still open. The first one and the one that's still open. Lapin Agile. Do you know the word lapin? Don't say anything because you know French. The rest. C'est Lapin.
Pain. Bakery?
That would be le space pain. It's lapin, one word. Rabbit. Rabbit. And agile, agile. The agile rabbit. Why is it called that way? So there's an artist that gave a painting of a rabbit to the owner of the restaurant. And the owner of the restaurant, he put the painting in front, in the facade of the restaurant. People started to call that restaurant a rabbit restaurant. And the owner was called Albert Gile. Gile, the agile rabbit. That's why it's called that way. And it was the favorite restaurant, cabaret, actually, cabaret of Picasso. So Picasso did here sometime, and he went twice a day to the cabaret. Oh, so he had the money for the cabaret, but he didn't for the rent? No, he didn't have money for the cabaret, nor the rent. So here, artists, they were producing art, not money. They're trying to sell the art, but no one wanted to buy art. So they had lots of paintings, lots of songs, lots of books, and the artists were doing like unwritten contracts with the owner of the restaurant, and they were exchanging art with food. And that's how they were surviving. No one was living in Montmartre, everyone was surviving in Montmartre. It was a horrible place to live. And Picasso, he did the same thing. He gave his paintings. But he is Picasso, he's not going to give a painting of Picasso that easily, no. So what he did, he never signed the paintings and always gave unsigned paintings of Picasso. So one day becomes famous, the owner can have sold all those paintings as Picasso paintings and become really rich with that. So he gave paintings and paintings and paintings and paintings with no signature, and one day he said to the owner, I will give you one of my paintings with my signature to thank you for what you did all those years for me. He painted the painting, put his signature, gave it to the owner, and the owner 1 week after sold it to a German man for the equivalent of 15 euros. 15 euros. The German went to Germany, sold it to another German man for the equivalent of 30 euros, and the second German man went to New York and sold it to an American woman for $100. $100 little dollars. And that woman showed a Picasso painting in her living room, casually, and many years passed. Picasso passed away. The lady, she turned on the radio, and she heard on the radio the name of Picasso. She goes, Picasso, rings the bell, Picasso, 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 where does it come from? She checked her living room, she checked the painting, and down there was the name of Picasso. And said, I have a Picasso painting! And she sold that painting for $40 million.
Yeah.
40 million! And that painting is still in New York. It's in a museum called the MoMA. You've been to the MoMA museum? You've seen that painting. And the painting is called Au Lapin Agile because it's a portrait of Picasso having a drink inside of the Lapin Agile. If you go right now to the Lapin Agile, which now it's still a cabaret, it's still open, you can enter inside it. And the eagles are the national animal of Germany, only as well United States, Mexico, Serbia, Albania, and many other countries, which is not really original. But do you know, or can you guess what's the French national animal? So, the rest. What's national French animal? Guess animal. Oh, exactly.
What?
It's the rooster. Yes, in English it's an apple, the cock. So maybe you know the brand, the sports brand called Le Coq's Party. So it's a really famous brand that used the national animal. So the rooster. Why the rooster?
Rooster.
8 versions why, and none of them is official. The most famous one is that the rooster is a small animal. France is a small country, but you don't mess up with a rooster. You don't want to mess with the French army, basically. There's another small country that uses the rooster, which is Portugal. Small, but Brazil exists for a reason. You don't mess with the Portuguese army. So you can see really, those houses are more big, more French traditional. You can see the roof is like gray and a green. Those are more the traditional houses in France. And now the Ottoman building, the roof is really gray. And if you look on Google, the name of this street is Rue de la Beauvoir. You will see it's one of the most beautiful streets of Paris. If you look behind you, look at the street. It's not too bad. It's a pretty nice view. Is it the best, the most beautiful view of Paris? The most beautiful street of Paris, but one of the most views of Paris.
This is most beautiful. Hi.
Now I'm leaving Montmartre. So now here, many people have influence. Influences here, the French here, because it's so of course, that a French will not do. Statue with 2 golden things. I will mention the golden things at the end. First, we see what she has done. So this woman behind me, it's Wonder Woman. No, it's not. Looks a bit like Wonder Woman. It's Dalida. Does any one of you know Dalida? Yeah, the rest of you know Dalida, maybe? No? Romania, do you know Dalida? Maybe? Yes, okay. It's famous there. Maybe from the UK, it's not that famous. Nor the US is that famous. So Dalida, she was born in 1933 in Egypt. Really elegant. So she was born in 1933 in Egypt, but she wasn't Egyptian, she was Italian from 2 Italian parents. And she was a huge fan of an American actress called Rita Hayworth. And she wanted to be just like Rita, famous and rich. Usually there's not that many exclamations, it's just that.
Oh my god.
And she wanted to become really famous, just like her. It's going to be difficult for her because being a famous actress in the US and Egypt in the 50s, 60s, it's a bit easier in the US and Egypt. She came to Paris Do you hear me? Yeah. Maybe to go a bit over there. I don't hear myself. I'm shouting even more. You hear me, but I don't hear myself. That's fine. Okay. So she decided to come in 1954 to Paris because she heard that she comes to Paris, she's going to be really, really famous. She was really young and naive, and she came to Paris in 1954. When she arrived here, she did lots and lots of castings, and no one casted her. Why no one casted her? Because she, for 5 minutes, gonna go this way. Usually they don't start the tour at this hour. That's why I have no problems. Usually they don't with us. So she decided to come to Montmartre because no one casted her in the castings. Not because she was not great, she was really talented, but because she didn't speak French. And to be an actress in France, you should at least know the language. And she had to move out. The first apartment she had in Paris, it was in Champs-Élysées. So near the Delon, she got a big mind, thinking she was going to become really, really famous and rich. Didn't happen, so she had to move out. And she lived in a cheap area of Paris, so quite a drastic change. When she came to Montmartre, she has to change her dream. She's not going to become an actress, she wants to change her dream. She still wanted to become an artist, but not an actress, and she decided to become a singer. It's easier to sing in a than talking the language we don't know. And she had to do the TV contest, which was called the #1 of tomorrow. Same thing as Debauch, and now you understand what I'm talking about. She did the same contest, and she won. #1, Dalida. In the contest, she met a man called Lucien Maurice. When she saw Lucien Maurice, she fell in love. And Lucien Maurice, when he saw Dalida, he fell in love as well. I'll show you a picture of Dalida, so we all fall in love.
Ah.
A really beautiful woman. And Dalida, she fell in love with him. They all fell in love together. They had an official relationship. After a couple of months of relationship, they got married. So with Dalida, everything goes pretty quickly. After the wedding, they signed a contract. So if Dalida makes money, he takes a percentage of the money. That sounds great. Why signing a contract? Because she had the talent, he had the contacts. He could make Dalida famous, and he made Dalida famous. That's why he signed the contract. He was like a manager, basically. And Dalida, she made a song that was really famous on a national level. It's a song called Laissez-moi danser, which means let me dance. And it goes on, Laissez-moi danser, laissez-moi. It's a really, really famous song. But on an international level, we know another song of Dalida, which is known around the globe. Maybe in a couple of places it's not that song. Because it was translated in many different languages. I think most of you will recognize that song.
Oh, I heard it. It just.
Je te jure, I swear to you, Dalida, listen to me. And she said words and words, man, alive.
Listen to me.
Oh, sorry, man, she's onto something. And Dalida, she became really famous with that song, not only with the Gigi l'amoroso, Bambino. We can hear the Italian. She was always throwing her Italian roots onto their songs. And she became quite famous. She did a tour of France, it went well. A tour of Europe, even better. And a tour of the world. She went to the US, she went to Latin America, she went to Japan, Hong Kong, Vietnam, back to Amsterdam, back home, Paris. And when she came back to Paris, there's a little one quite enjoying the money, entering the bank. Her husband, Lucien Maurice. Which she was saying to Dalida, work more, new album, you this, you that, no week of Dalida. And she understood that she was being used for the money she was making. So she decided to get a divorce, which we talked about in the 60s. No one divorced at that time. And after her divorce, she's going to have a long list of love scandals. I will not enter in all of the love scandals because we'll be here until tomorrow. No. So 3 scandals. After her divorce, she was like a 34, 35 years old. And she fell in love with an 18-year-old kid. And she started to sing some songs that maybe at that time was okay. 2024, you go to prison. You're not okay anymore. So she sang a song saying, oh, the face of a baby, but the body of a man. Thank God he turned 18. Well, 2024, you cannot say those types of things anymore. And quickly, she realized she got pregnant of that boy. When she knew she was pregnant, she was big mistake. I'm not in love. He's not the man of my life. This is not going to work. And she decided to get an abortion, which abortion was illegal at that time. But when you have money and influence, you can do whatever you want. So she had access to an illegal abortion. And after her abortion, she broke up with the kid. Then she fell in love with another character. She fell in love with Alain Delon. Do you know Alain Delon?
The famous actor?
Yeah. You know Alain Delon? Your mother had a poster of Alain Delon half naked in her bed, basically. He was a sex symbol of France. And now he's like 80 something, 83. Well, he's not in a good shape. He's still hanging there. but not for long, unfortunately. But really, really like Leonardo DiCaprio of another generation, basically.
Ah.
And he's the masculine voice in Paroles. And they met up in Champs-Élysées. They were neighbors over there, fell in love, made Paroles, and they worked. After that, they didn't work the relationship, they broke up. And then Dalida, she falls in love with another guy. She falls in love with the French president, François Mitterrand. He was married. Everyone knew the first leader of the country. Everyone knew Dalida. Big scandal. And Dalida, she was really jealous of the wife of Mitterrand. She was always saying, François, do you love me? Of course, I love you, Dalida. But François, do you love me? How can I not love you, Dalida? But if you love me, François, why don't you build pyramids in front of the Louvre? Pyramids. She was from Egypt. The pyramids were made because he loved Dalida? Not really. This is not the official version. I think it's true, but it's not official. Why? Because official versions are making great sense. We have pyramids in front of the Louvre because the only thing that Napoleon I couldn't install in Egypt was the pyramids. That's the official version. I'm not too sure about this version, and why François Mitterrand would build those pyramids for Napoleon I is not making great sense. And he did those pyramids just after his scandal with Dalida, so there's something fishy about that. But it's not official, not official. And the wife of Mitterrand, she grew a bit touched. She said, François, you have to make a choice. Me or her, but not both. It's impossible. And any married man stays with a wife and broke up with a lover, and he broke up with Dalida. Dalida, she was heartbroken, so heartbroken. She married 3 more times. She was really heartbroken. She divorced 3 more times, and this had to go a bit south. She had to lose some fans. She was getting old. She got dependent on different drugs, and something horrific happened. More than 4 of ex-lovers committed suicide. First husband, suicide. The 18-year-old boy, suicide. And 2 others, suicide. The only thing those men had in common was her. And she thought she was bringing bad luck to men. And the only way to stop the bad luck is kill herself. And she killed herself in 1987 at 54 years old. And she left the last note saying, guys, I'm sorry, but life is too difficult. And that's the end of Dalida. And now we're also falling into depression. But no, we still have many things to see. And I cannot ignore her statue. We have to mention the 2 elephants in the room. Why are people touching the boobs of Dalida? We have to speak about it, I'm sorry. Because in France, not only in France, but mainly, we touch intimate parts of statues for 2 reasons. Good luck and fertility. How does it work? Did one book good luck, the other book fertility? No. First you think, after you touch. I want good luck, you touch. Good fertility, you touch. Good luck to not have fertility, whatever you ask, and you touch. It's not specific to Dalida, it's all the statues of women, men, and animals. No. The animals is us touching the book of Dalida, basically. And here it's a bit sad. Dalida, she wasn't really lucky in life, and after her abortion she became infertile. And now people touch her boobs for luck and fertility, which she had none of those, which is a bit sad. But again, it's not personal to Dalida. There's other statues around Europe, for example. We have Romeo and Juliet in Verona, Italy, and everyone touch her boobs just for good luck. And well, Juliet is a fictional character, she's a bit better than Dalida, but she was really, well, she was an icon here. And why having a statue of Dalida and not a statue of Monet or Renoir?
The painter paintings. 여기 투어만 하는 것도 거의 보자 시간이 많이 걸리네요. 지금 10시에 오전 10시에 모여서 거의 지금 11시 40분이니까 almost 2 hours.
here with Dalida. Here, she's good luck, which is always better. Now we're gonna see here.
Wow.
With bread, cocorico. We're in France, we eat lots of bread, that is why. And we had 33 windmills, all the flour that was made in Montmartre was all sent to Paris, to all the bakeries of Paris. 2024, we don't need windmills anymore, we have machinery that does all the work. And we still have two windmills, we have one here, another one going down the street. You can see there's some trees at the end of the street. That is a private garden with a windmill. Yes, someone has a private garden with a windmill. We don't live the same life. I have a balcony, it's a 1 square meter balcony. I call it the garden. It's still a balcony. It's still a balcony, blah blah. And this windmill was put on top of this restaurant. Back then it was a bakery of the same name, which is called Moulin de la Galette. Moulin. It's a windmill. La Galette is a salty crab you eat on the west side of France in Brittany. And he was a baker for many years, for many generations. And one day the head of the family decided to transform this place into a restaurant because it became quite popular. Painting, which is actually one same painting of Renoir, which is this painting right here. So really famous painting of Renoir. It was painted inside of this restaurant, in the garden of this restaurant. And this painting, if you want to see it, you will have to go to Musée d'Orsay. The Museum of Orsay will be over there. And Dalida, when she came up here, she ate the same thing over and over again. What? Pasta, wine. She was Italian, of course. Maybe in cliché was her favorite dish of her in this restaurant. And she lived 30 seconds away from her favorite restaurant. It's so convenient for her, so convenient for us, because we're going to see where she lived at in Montmartre and she became famous. Because she decided to stay in Montmartre even though she became quite famous and rich. And she could go back to away here alone. She wasn't married, she didn't have any boyfriend, she had no one actually. The only person she really had at that time was her brother, Orlando. But the relationship Dalida and Orlando wasn't the best because when she passed away, the first thing he did, sold the house. I don't know actually, for millions and millions and millions of euros. And he invested all that money in doing albums of the songs of Dalida. But he put his own songs between the songs of Dalida because he was a singer too, but his career never took off. So not the best relationship ever. And then it was sold again in 2013. Who sold it to who? No idea. It's probably information I don't have access to. And you can see it's a 4th floor. It's 4 floors, and they have at least, from what we can see, 3 balconies. Wow, must be nice. So this place, just surface-wise, it will be costing like 5 to 6 million euros. If you add the value of Dalida who lived here, and if you add as well that before the house of Dalida was the house of a German author, that's even more value. That's why this place is way more expensive than we can even imagine. Who lives there? I don't know. Rich people. I'm not gonna knock on the door and ask who lives there. It's probably information I don't have access to, unfortunately. I want to know, but I'm not gonna ask. Oh well. I'm gonna go to the other side, and it's another house of artists. Let's continue.
So informative, so worth it.
But now it's more artistic. Every type of people here, because it's become quite touristic now, the artistic went down Montmartre and they went to Pigalle, where they did the Moulin. see one of them take. And maybe more, not dangerous, but a bit more sketchy than that's why I don't go there. You can visit the Moulin Rouge with me, you don't need a guide to show you around. And the tour will be 5 to 6 minutes away from the Moulin Rouge. I will show you how it is. She is 101. Just like my grandmother, she's 101 and you took her 102. And she's doing yoga. I want to see me and your mama. I can see it's such a sex. Oh, you must be beautiful.
뭐해?
This place is called Le Bateau La Voix. Do you know the word bateau? Yeah, ship, boat, yes, and la voix. C'est machine à laver. Yeah, almost at laundry, washing laundry. A laundry boat. This place, shocker, was never you understand? I don't know. A bateau la voix was a place where you can clean your clothes with a special technique, and it was with ashes. Back then we didn't have the heating system we have now. Back then you have the chimneys. You use the chimneys to, well, as a heating system. And at the end of the day, you have lots of powder, and they use that and they mix with other things to clean clothes. Wasn't really effective actually. And quickly after they discovered soap. It works, it smells nice, and there's no more stains. It works, and they stopped using this place as a bateau la voix, and it was sold and transformed into artistic residence, which the artists will live here for free. Free? Nothing is free in life. Wait a bit. There are their own studios that you share the living room, the bathroom, and the kitchen. That you paint a certain number of paintings each week or each month in function of the styles. And at the end of each month, the owner for big parties and sold all the paintings during those events. And he took a percentage of the money of the sale of the paintings. So you enter free, but you go out paying. This is a commission, which was perfect. It was a win-win situation because the artists, when they come up here, they didn't have at all money. They used all the money to come up here, and it was a way for them to live and still make art and having money. That's why in 1904 there's a young artist in his 20s that decided to come up here, and the artist was called Picasso. And Picasso, he was like around 20 years something, and he's still here before staying in the pink house, first here, then pink house. And here he created a painting called The Ladies of Avignon. Here he created Cubism. Here was created Cubism. You think of Cubism, you think of something big. It changed art, Cubism. And this was supposed to be one of the biggest artistic residents of Paris in the 19th century. 20th century, sorry. The biggest artistic residence, small. Too small. I know in Paris everything is smaller, this is too small. So before the Bateau la Voix, so here, went all the way up there, it was much more behind, it was a 2 to 3 floors building. Why now we only have this left? Because in the 70s there was a fire and everything was destroyed. The single painting was saved from that event, and of course, well, the owner didn't have money to rebuild the full building, so he sold more than half of the land, restored this, didn't work, and he sold it to the Museum of Montmartre, that's a bit more up. So now all of this is to promote the Museum of Montmartre basically. And you can see here, we have a lapin, a rabbit. This is the painting of the lapin agile that was on top of the restaurant that I mentioned, the orange cabaret. This was the painting that gave the name lapin to the lapin agile, basically. And now what we're going to do, we're going to do a last history jump. We're going to jump to the 21st century, and we'll see the shop where Amélie did her groceries in the movie of Amélie Poulain. You watch that movie of Amélie Poulain? You should watch that movie of Amélie Poulain, very important. again. So, Amélie Poulain, Emily in Paris. Two different things. We don't like Emily, she's American. We like Amélie, she's French. It's less cliche and more interesting in my opinion. If you have the chance to see, I think during the Olympics they will put it on Netflix again, and it will be in movie theaters, the movie again. So if you have the time, I recommend to check. She worked in the movie in a Café de Trois Moulins, or the Delon, I don't remember, and that will be near the Moulin Rouge in front of you. It will be the first street going up, and then you can see the café where she worked at. You're going to see where she bought her fruit. It's called. Amélie, I'm sure you know the picture of Amélie.
On my list. A lot of times since I've seen it. And I remember not really liking it sometimes, but now I think that would be
So many things. So many things. Yeah. I think I like Japan, but like it's more here is more than that. I mean I think it's really good in Paris. Really enjoy.
I've never been to Japan, but my mom did, and it's really strict. Like there's rules, and you have to stick to the rules.
Oh yeah.
And here you can pretty much do whatever you want. And if you don't stick to the rules, eventually a Parisian will tell you.
Oh shit.
But here you can do pretty much whatever you want. Like for example, crossing on the red light. We don't do it.
Oh, it's connected to this one. I've been there.
Oh really?
Today, yeah. I went to
okay.
that store to get not this store. The Le Saint something, John. And then I ate some croissant and the coffee and came to here. And I figured out I have to catch up the group.
Okay, you see here. Some of you can sit down if you're really tired. Okay, perfect. So we are right now in front of the wall of love, le mur des je t'aime. This was a project of the year 2000. There was a man called Frédéric Baron. He wanted to travel around the world and ask people, how can I say I love you in your language, in your language, but he didn't have money to travel, and he's sitting here in Paris instead. He went to the Eiffel Tower and ask tourists on the street, how can I say I love you in your language, your language, and your language? But after some time he realized he only had the same I love yous over and over again in European languages. He wanted something more exotic, so he decided to go to embassies and ask directly to the embassies, how can I say I love you in this language, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And it's a whole year searching for I love yous, and more than 1,000 ways of saying I love you in different languages and dialects. And he teamed up with 2 different artists and created the Wall of Love with this roughly 300 I love yous. Actually, there's 250 languages with 300 I love yous because we have different ways of saying I love you in different languages. For example, in English we have I like you and I love you. In French it's je t'aime or je t'aime bien, which is really, really different between those two. But yes. And why creating a wall? Could be, I don't know, something else, like a heart shape. Why specifically a wall? Because wanted to change the meaning of walls. Typically a wall is built to boom, divide the population too, so you the bad guys, you the good guys. Typically what happened with the wall of Berlin, for example, what's happening now with the wall of Trump. And he wanted to change that and create a wall where people can meet up, hug, kiss and show love in front of the Wall of Love, which is really romantic. And the tour ends here, everyone. Thank you for listening to me until the end. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So I ended the tour way early because you didn't ask too many questions, that's why. You didn't have some questions.